Here in the WardiTV Christmas Day Games quarterfinals, our second match starts off with the red Terran player, who is going to be in the bottom right corner of the map representing Team Liquid. We have Solar. Nope, that's Clem. Why did I go to Solar so confidently then? Oh, okay, guys. Christmas jokes. Yeah, something like that. It's Clem in the bottom right-hand side. That was such a great intro up until the point of just botching it completely. Actually, Solar in the top left from Falcons, Blue Zerg player, as we get him involved and we get him ready to play some games. Oh, that was embarrassing. You know what it is as well? It's like, I could just scrap this. The power of this being pre-recorded is I could just scrap it right now. No one would ever know the stupidity of this intro. But you know what? I'm genuine. This is unedited. Apart from stitching the games together, this is how it happened. It wouldn't be a WardiCast without messing the intro up to some extent, you know? I'm sure you guys are all having a good laugh. And we'll see you again here on the Christmas Day games. These games are pre-recorded. I might be hanging out and chat with you guys right now, also laughing at myself. So, yeah, that's what's going on. Thank you so much for joining us, and we are excited to get into this TvZ. I really do think Solar versus Clem has the chance to really be pretty darn fascinating. I really think this one can be a lot of fun because Solar is so good at surviving a lot of the time. And when I say he's so good at surviving, one of the best things that I see from Solar is if he can just get to lurkers, then my goodness, is he probably going to go into beast mode because he is so good at the game. Once he gets to that lurker phase, he really is able to amp it up. He's really able to play extremely confidently at that sort of a stage of a game. So yes, definitely expecting Solar to, if he can get there, put up a good fight. I think the problem for Solar is absolutely going to be getting there. And there's no shame in, saying that because Clem's freaking good at StarCraft 2. And he is going to make your life difficult. He is extremely good in TvZ. I mean, TvZ is the matchup that Clem probably first really kind of made a bit more of a name for himself on. He was always very good and building up and growing, but his first real successes came from TvZ, and obviously that's continued this year. The results against Serral in the World Cup, for example, as this Reaper comes through, tries to catch a drone, is not quite able to. The Zerglings get there, trying to chase that Reaper around instead. As the Spore Crawler will cancel, but the Ling should be able to zone, and I don't think Solar's in too much trouble outside of a supply block. Overlord not yet ready. So we wait on that as the Queen comes through. People will get turned the other direction. And a couple command centers on their way up as well. So just bring all of that into play for the moment. So not really any messing around by Clem, just going straight into the triple command center, straight into the 3cc. Going to give him a really good economy to play off of. As this Reaper continues to linger just out the front of the base over here. It's just going to be hanging around for a little bit. Again, SCV, Starport, all coming through. The Reaper on the top side going to move about. Queens are going to be there. And that Reaper will hold off for a few moments at the very least. Able to really jump in. I mean, it could probably move forward if it wanted to, but it's not going to gain anything right now. If you could get that creep tumor, that would be amazing, but that doesn't look likely to happen. And he's going to hit the hatchery, which is a forward hatch here from Solar on Whispers of Gold. One of the shorter maps. Wonder if he's going to try and use that aggressively, or if there's some kind of a plan in play for him. As we get this opening game started now, this Reaper going to get chased by these Lings, and we do not have support for it yet. 2 Hellions on the map. Somehow that Reaper is able to stay far enough ahead of the Lings that it does not get caught and surrounded, so nothing really comes of that one in the end. And obviously with Hellions showing up, we're going to be much safer against those Zerglings in the future. Clem also going to follow with the Banshee, which is a very typical Clem move in all honesty. Get the Banshee up, puts you in a very safe position, the kind of position where you can control the game. And his TvZ really is all about controlling the game, right? That is exactly what Clem is up to 9 times out of 10. He wants to be aggressive from the start, in your face. He wants to be the one that says, okay, the game plays at this pace. You got to do things at my timings. So that's exactly what we expect from Clem. Banshee does a good part of that because A, it keeps you map control, it keeps you very safe in case your opponent gets aggressive, and it gives you harassing opportunities too. So it can just be another way to control the map, get harassment damage in. As a few Hellions will now peel around to the top side, and there will be a creep tumor that they're able to nab. So creep tumor goes down immediately. Still got our Banshee and our cloaking continuing out as well as the Hellions get back toward the middle. Just wondering what we might kind of aim to do here in these next few moments as we have the Hellions going to go around the right. Clem oftentimes does play quite aggressively with his Hellions, but it does seem like it's a case of if the opportunity is there. I was talking to him about it at Home Story Cup a little bit, and he's like, yeah, you know, I do like to, but it's just because these Zergs keep trying to be so greedy. You know, a lot of the time if they, delay that link speed and so on, my first Hellions have a good chance to dive in and really kind of create some good threatening damage. So why wouldn't I try and take advantage of that? And obviously that makes a whole lot of sense. As the Banshee here has poked about, found a single kill. The Hellions got pushed back by the Queen as well. And now a Roach Roaring coming up from a solo, so showing us some Roaches in the early stages of this game number 1. So yeah, some Roaches coming out. The Hellions will continue to move around. Again, the +1 attack, +1 armor, stim pack building in here as we speak. So again, all of our upgrades online, getting this bio army ready to rumble. Actually can get some damage off onto these hatchery while the Banshees do make their appearance on the left-hand side for 3 drones, now 4. So 4 drones going down. The Hellions going to relocate back in the center. Kind of surprised we don't see a scan for some creep, but instead we're going to find a way to a mineral line. Over here we're going to come through, and that's now 9 workers killed as the Hellions get to go a-burning and barbecuing. And they get some good damage dealt as we come back around to the left, but that's going to be a Queen in position. That is going to be a turn away also. Man, love the play though with those. We lose a Banshee, unfortunately. Love the play with those Hellions, just so active, and finally just says, you know what, I'm going to cut it all the way. The thing is, when you're over here, the Zerg usually thinks it's like, okay, well, you can't break into my base from there, right? You're going to stop on this hatchery. And Clem says, well, what if I just run straight through the middle over here, you know? Like, what if I just do this completely opposite to what you're expecting me to do? And I guess you can do that because of the layout on the base on this map. Being here is just away from this base, right? He runs across the creep to get there. And Clem is able to catch Solar unprepared in that location and really is able to strike very nicely. Hellions join together. As do have a few moments. It's going to be seeing that Hellions continue to hold map control. Meanwhile, the first Marines and Medivacs are on the map. Widow Mines accompanying a super fast drilling claws actually from Clem. Going to get drilling claws very early in this game. You see that as a prioritized upgrade. As one of the things that these Marines are going to do already is push back the creep massively, get on top of this base. Now Hellbats approach the left-hand side, going to threaten the mineral line of Solar over here. The Roaches show up to defend the right side. The Lings are not really meant to be the defense on the left when the Hellbats are there, but there's not really much choice right now. On the plus side, we might not lose too much. Can we transfuse these Queens? Solar gets the transfusion here. That should be a defense now. The Medivacs, though, are still looming large and being a threat to this. Definitely looking for their chance to once again have an impact in this game. Dropping into the back, but they will not do too much else. Solar needs to re-establish his creep spread, losing the creep here. He's got some creep from the center that will probably help to replace that, but yes, you got to really get rid of the creep denial and get back to kind of creeping up yourself, because if you're not going to be able to creep up yourself, you really do end up in a lot of trouble eventually, so this does feel pretty necessary as the Medivacs join up. Again, drilling claws, 2-2 upgrades on the way out. Baneling speed and a hive coming up as well. Now, Marines will push forward and going to get rid of some creep tumors here. Baneling's going down also. The Banes are going to drop. The Roaches step forward. Medivacs go boosting along. 2 Medivacs in the top left as these Queens apparently having a little bit of a party stuck behind that Roach run for a few moments. And we slow this down to regather as a couple of creep tumors will get knocked down. The Ling Roach Bane right there as well. Keeping an eye on the Medivacs on the minimap. The ones behind that base definitely could be a concern if the correct sort of moment arises. So yeah, just got to keep our eyes on that as we do have the Bane Speed and the Vipers coming through. Solar's going to hit Hive Tech, but obviously the way he's playing, it's more of a Hive rush than like, oh yeah, I'm going to get to Lurkers or so. So while I said I really like Solar's ability to survive, to me he's not quite going into what I think is his absolute best case of survival right now, which would be Lurkers. His game is not set up to play Lurkers, to be fair, just to be completely clear. This is not like, oh, why the heck is he doing it? Because he's not meant to, but the Hive Tech is coming through. Just wanted to mention it's not quite the scenario I was thinking of earlier, where it's like if Solar gets to Hive and Lurkers and so, I mean, I guess maybe that's obvious because, you know, there's no Lurkers, but there's a couple of tanks will unsiege and relocate. Clem's push up this left-hand side has already laid claim to one of the bases. Now the Spore Crawler going to shoot away. As Ultras step out onto the field, Clem will have a little bit more difficulty. And Clem is on 4 bases right now. He is adding on an additional planetary and command center. So his base count is good. Ghost Academy coming through. Right now, there's no immediate answer to the Ultras, though. So as long as there's no immediate answer to Ultras, there's always going to be that little scenario, I think, where it's like, okay, you know, Solar should be able to get a couple of fights off here where he can push this back, where he can hold this off. So I feel like that stage of this is kind of becoming just a matter of time. Tank sieges again. Our units press forward. They're going to get blasted by a handful of Banelings, so they're going to get some damage done. And those two Ultras coming now. 3 upgrades coming through as well. We turn around. Tank still whacking away at the Roach Baneling Ravager. Nice abduct in on one of the siege tanks as well. Just going to bring that forward, drag that into play. More shots coming down. We had to get rid of the hatchery top right-hand side in the meantime. Clem's everywhere, dropping in the back of the natural. Solo deals with that. He's actually going to deal with the attack in the main base too. This drop is also going to get dealt with and cleaned up, so progress, honestly. Progress as our units get to the right side. Marines will have to lift up again. And try and drop another hatchery down right there. And try and drop that hatchery down. Just going to be seeing a couple of queens. Going to drop a couple of creep tumors into play as well. Now we do have 14 more Zerglings coming out and about as we speak. So getting those up as the Ling Ultra goes crashing in on the other side of the map. She's going to come crashing forward. Now CV's pull away straight immediately here. This is the question of, does Clem have enough of a deal with Ultras right now? He only has a single Ghost. Obviously Marauders do help, but Sola's able to make a stand. Still has Marines and a Marauder on the other side to handle, and Clem does lift those up, saving them and preserving them for the moment at the very least. And now the Bioforce back onto this map. I'm actually going to kill an Extract on the left. Man, just random little groups of units here, there, and everywhere so far. And they do come through and play cleanup. And again, the rest of the medevacs coming over as well. As we are going to see a scan coming out, and our crypt tumors are going to get cleaned on up. So you pick off a lot of that creep now, pushing into the creep spread here. Those Lings and the Ravager just going to come across too. A couple of corrosive files dropping down. Wooded Lions continue to spread out. The Ultras and the Banes and the Ravagers continue up. Lings and Ravagers move forward again. Widowmine shot very good on a group of Zerglings. Another Widowmine shot is still going off. Overseer's going to be taking a whole bunch of damage there also. Again, Clem has to lift up and back away. Sola is going to come chasing back across to try and hunt this down. Sola going to make his way across and see if he can take advantage of this at all. And the bio, we're going to sit here, we're going to borrow up a Widowmine. And Ultras are going to get on top of this base once again. Again, it's just not enough Ghosts right now for Clem to really help handle the Ultras properly, and just being met by this kind of initial force of Ultras, consistently ending up taking some damage from those. As a couple snipes come through, that Ravager gets picked up. In the end, Clem's army masses up to be good enough, which I don't think is the issue. It's just kind of having those units preemptively positioned is the kind of problem that we're having right now. Those units just do not keep getting into the right places quickly enough maybe for Clem, which is allowing Solo to do some damage and to draw this game outwards, because it doesn't feel like a game Solo has much of a shot in, but he's making some plays. He's staying in it. He's standing up at least. I do think Clem is still controlling it for the most part. I mean, we're on 5 bases here as Clem. The worker count is good across the board, honestly, but obviously a bit better for Clem, I'd say, being only 5 workers behind. It's not like Solar is building up a massive bank, and I would also not say that Solar is on the most incredible of armies, right? An ultra-based army, to me, is a little bit lacking in terms of what you really want to end up on. I'll go back over to the left-hand side. Gonna get rid of the hatcher on the left. Ling, Bane, Ultra coming over again. Bio gonna stim away for a few moments. Well, the Ultra's actually doing a good job of chasing down. Clem is already kind of back to his base, though. Again, the size of this map is definitely an issue for Solar. He's really, when you look at the mini-map, as well in trouble. I mean, we'll watch this fight as the Banes might get a chance to crash in. We actually will get rid of a base. We're going to reset this to 4 bases each. Not that a Zerg is typically going to be happy on 4 base versus 4 base, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? You gotta take something of this, right? 13 SCVs killed. I was going to say is, you can see Sola's just so confined. He's got his 4 bases and then barely nothing else. A little bit of creep through the middle of the map that Clem hasn't cleaned up. Knocking Clem down a base, like I say, does put Clem maybe in a little bit of a tougher spot here. Maybe just slow him down ever so slightly. Infesta's still coming through. The Ultra production continues. Even getting the upgrade still, plus 3 melee. We already had Carapace, so the Ultras are fully upgraded in terms of their armor and being as tanky as possible, which is usually one of their main goals, so that part is a victory so far. There's our Ultra Bane regathers. A little bit of bio going to come stimming in on the left-hand side. Going to find a hatchery to cancel immediately. A few Zerglings going to step across there. Those Medivacs will lift up and retreat. Couple more transfusions, keep the Ultras healthy. The problem is bar these couple of infestors, I don't know if Solar's army is getting any better. and if it's ever going to get any better. Whereas Clem's army definitely just gets better with quantity of quality units, if that makes sense. If, as you add on more ghosts and so, Clem's army is going to become so freaking good. As the bio gets chased, the Ultras, the Ravagers coming to chase this down. CC setting up as well. The Queen's in the middle of the map already. Liberators will continue to gather up as well. Just going to get the sieges going. Just going to stim up the left-hand side as Ravager, Ultra, Queen gets hunted. There goes an Infestor. Going to get picked off as well. +3 melee upgrade, not far from being done. More ghosts coming out. Marines still coming through, and I'm able to step forward once more. If you can just deny this 5th base of Solar, I really struggle to see Solar getting back in this game. At that point, you're talking about just being denied bases that you really need to be mining from realistically. And it's just happening too consistently now. In this case, Solar actually just stepped forward and does a very good job of pushing Clem off of this. So actually, Solar's going to stay in with a chance here. As we pull all the way back towards that Liberator circle, now Solar steps away. You know what? It's actually a pretty fun game because Solar is definitely keeping this in a position where it's like, well, I kind of couldn't believe that maybe if Clem missteps a fight, there's going to be a chance. The supplies are staying competitive. It's just, for Zerg to really be competitive, to me, they need to own more of the map. They need to be in more control than what Solar is in control of here. To me, this is Terran winning because if you look at both players, their numbers are similar. But that's not how Zerg wins these games, right? They don't win games off numbers being similar at all, on being confined to 4 bases for an extremely long time. Those are some nice parasitic bombs, but Clem's 5th base economy is absolutely going to be good enough to keep him kind of active for the moment. Like I said, I do not think he is currently feeling any concerns. Like I say, he can mess up a fight, and maybe that is going to be what would nudge you in the direction of like, okay, right, messed up a fight, and maybe now I'm in some trouble. We're just not there yet. I guess the Infestors obviously add that potential of messing up a fight. You get caught in a bad fungal, and that really does accelerate the problem a lot of the time as well. So there are issues there. Although Clem taking more control back himself as he sieges the Liberator. Just going to be an annoyance with that too. Liberator going to fire a few more shots off, but that will not go very far at all. That will be cleaned up. Just hold tight on that left-hand side. Corrupt is coming through. We've got ourselves the Infestor and +1 flyer attack on the Spire. Also coming into play currently. The right side of the Ultras are going to try and counterattack down, maybe try and take Clem's attention elsewhere. I do think this is just one of those maps where, as I've said before, the layout of the map is definitely not going to do Solar any real favors. As that bio steps up, a couple of those libs already very nicely sieged. And if you have to attack into those, there's no way to actually deal with Liberators properly right now, like Abducts and Parasitic Bombs. Okay, there's a few Corruptors showing up. There's honestly not bad Fungals to kind of help Solar out, but I mean, Clem's essentially just playing with him. He's like, oh yeah, come fight back through my Liberation Zone for a second and a third time. How many times are we going to run through that Liberator? Liberator has 5 kills, but it's mostly shooting at Ultras. That's pretty impressive. Because obviously we're right next to a base, so the fact that Solar is able to get here does mean he can now kill some SCVs, and he's going to wipe out Clem's 5th base. And Clem is actually going to lose a lot of economy, where, to the point now where maybe if he loses a little bit of his army, maybe that's where Solar can overwhelm. The economy of Clem suddenly losing 25 workers is an issue, as these Ultras have refused to be kind of put down on the right side as well. Okay, I'm becoming a little bit convinced by Solar, honestly. As I said previously, obviously I was not immediately convinced. I was definitely feeling as though Clem was in control of this game, but I am seeing reasons to worry if you're a Clem fan now. I mean, those workers going down. Clem's army is still competitive for the moment, and again, the size of the map is going to be intriguing because it shouldn't take Clem much to get across the other side. But look what Solar's been able to do. Top right base now operational and mining. Far left base will stay alive and keep mining too. These are important bases for the Zerg to have an economy to go toe-to-toe deeper in this game. Resources lost is even, which is pretty good for a Zerg as well. Clem has actually not had the best of fights as we do drop one snipe down. The Infestor falls. About to hit the 20-minute mark here on Whispers of Gold. He's not sieged up with these lives. He's going to get jumped on. I actually think this is the sort of fight that Solo could absolutely win, although I guess the Banes aren't catching, though the Lings are going to get a wraparound, and that means the Ultras are going to go chomping their way through, and some Christmas dinner for them as they eat up the Marines, and they are going to make their way straight through. Planetary Fortress in trouble. Clem has actually lost this game. Wow. Solo's resilience with an army that I just did not think was going to do it, and I wonder if Clem almost got too aggressive, almost baited into aggression because of the size of the map and so on, and if he just sat back, Solo would have always been like, oh, I can't really compete now because I can't attack into you with this army. Every time, I tell you one thing that I think made a big impact in this game was this right side base of Clem. Yes, it got mined out, but Solo constantly found damage here. He repeatedly showed up in this position and was able to succeed. And I think that success goes a long, long way for you in a game like this one, so damn. Couple medevac's gonna get up the top, pulling Ultra Corruptor. Just gonna come over, just gonna be seeing the Ultra taking damage. And this is a push from Solo right now that's threatening to end this game as Clem is gonna have to fall back, eats a fungal growth at the front. These units gonna have to keep cutting backwards. Planetary Fortress there is going to try and stand its ground, but it's not going to be good enough, and Solo is going to open up this best of 5 with a win. GG's. Alright, well that is that, and it is going to be Solo opening up with a 1-0 lead. That's a fascinating result to start us off on, and now I'm even more excited for this series, because that means Solo is here, and Solo means business. He is not going to mess around. Oh yes, I'm excited. I'm very excited. Solo in the bottom left-hand corner, the red Terran player representing Team Liquid. This is Clem. Oh yes, I got the name right as well. The introduction went properly. No messing around this time. You know, well, that's how you know this series is serious business now. It's kind of funny. I'll do the top right intro. Our blue Zerg player from Falcons is Solar. It is kind of funny because, obviously, you know, for you guys, you're going to watch me casting all these games back to back. But for me, I kind of cast one of these games here, one of these games there. I'm basically like adding a series here and there each day on the build up to Christmas to get these games ready to go out for you guys. So for me, I kind of just sat back down after having some food to cast this match. So I'm not quite in like full StarCraft mode in my head. So it's like, it almost takes me a minute to turn back on. Which is why I was kind of laughing so much about the epic intro into just saying Solo's name, because I was like, no, my brain's in like I just ate mode, not we just casted a pretty fun Gumiho versus Hero War mode. Now let's go into the rest of it mode, you know. Overlord moving about. We do have a couple of overlords in the center. As we have the hatch, gas, and pool all building. Nothing too awry from the norm just yet. Overlord going down the bottom left. The SCVs will begin to move onto the map as well, so they will just step forward here for a couple moments. Well, SCV comes to scout. Obviously, we'll just be seeing this as a hatchery first. So Clem just, you know, taking his precautions. Not going to risk too much, especially down a game. You'll probably see Clem be pretty safe about things right now, not really rushing into situations and so on. I think he's going to play this a little bit carefully, to be honest, as the SCV moves around. There is the Reaper coming across the map as well, so we'll just follow that for a moment or two. See if that gets up to anything exciting. There's a drone right there, but actually doesn't see it. Doesn't go close enough to see the drone. If that was a hatchery, he would have seen the hatch, but the hatchery goes down now. As yeah, this Reaper will end up just fighting for some drones and Zerglings in the early moments of this game, so just trying to find something with that. As the Reaper goes back and forth, Queen pops out. Reaper will be taking some damage. Again, factory, command center, all continuing up as Zergling speed continues in as well. some additional shots off. 4 drones going down so far. Killing speed halfway done. This Overlord just chilling out overhead as well. This Reaper still moving back over in this right-hand side direction. I think it's going to get there. Reaper gets turned onto the low ground. A little grenade going down as well. A couple Hellions trying to come about themselves and see if they can make a stand on what's going on here. The Reaper again pulling back. The Queens gather in the middle of the map with that Overlord to accompany them. So far, so good. 3 Queens on the way up. Barracks on the way through. Additional factory ready to go. Barracks is going to lift off, go to the reactor. Starport will drop into position. It's going to be a 2-1-1, but with a triple CC. So, going to have that kind of bio-aggression accompanied with the very strong economy that is, you know, natural for triple command center play. So Clem will be able to do the best of both worlds, which is have a great economy, and also potentially be able to get onto the map and make stuff happen fairly early with that stim pack. The Zergling scouting around us all would love to just see a little bit of what's going on right here. You know, just get an idea of, okay, this is what's up, this is what I need to be prepping for, this is what I've got to be careful about. Marines is going to be able to grab a kill. Again, the few drones and the Queens coming online. The reactor finishing on this factory in just a few moments as well. It's just going to get that up and online as well. As again, Queens and drones coming up. The engineering bay. All 2 dropping down in the back of the natural. And our Hellions will take the watchtower in the bottom right. Stimpack not far from finishing. Medivacs in production. Extractors continue to build as our layer comes up. The hatchery drops onto the 4th. A couple of Hellions come through again as continue to get those engineering bays are rolling. Medivacs coming by, the Stimpack coming up. So just having Lings and drones producing through for now. Hellions pull back down the bottom left as our mule drops onto the 3rd base. SCVs are going to keep on producing as well. Keep going through with all of the good stuff here so far. And combat shields and +1 both building from Clem as he gets his first medivacs onto the map. See how Solar deals with this. No Baneling Nest just yet. In fact, we're only going to have about 20 Lings on the map, so just got to be very careful with how the engagement here goes. Do not attack into a choke. Do not let these Marines take advantage of you too heavily, because that could definitely become disastrous very quickly. The Queens push away onto the Marines step forward. The Queens take a little bit of damage again, and they step back. So a little bit of back and forth here just for the moment. There's 1-1 upgrades, and the combat shield continue to produce. Speed coming about, melee upgrades on the way in. Clem does not do too much with the initial medivacs, although we'll jump across here and get a creep tumor, which is nice. Trailing by a game, Clem looking to try and bounce back and to stop this series from getting away from him super early. He's going to force a lift up on those Marines. The Marines lift up, they're going to back away. Still got a Hydroden building from Solar over on the natural. Marines are going to unload and fight their way through. We're going to take a bit of damage. The rest of the Lings coming back across. Let's see if they can make enough happen here as defense continues. Clem back at home. 3 more barracks going down. So we're going to power it up to 8 racks here on Amygdala. And he is going to be pretty aggressive. Now, Clem has this tendency when he 8 racks to oftentimes kind of bail away from the 8 racks. Like, he'll 8 racks and start a transition way faster into a 4th and stuff than other Terrans do. But this seems like a pretty straight up 8 racks for the moment, as Bane Speed is about to finish on the side of Solar. Groove Spines is on the way up as well, so we bring all of that into play. A couple of Banelings already getting knocked down immediately. The Marines get there to play that cleanup too. Our 1-1 upgrades coming in on the side of Clem. 11 additional Marines, armory producing. Marines will continue to play, and the Queens will put some work in. Marines in the back. Gonna have to lift up and move in towards the main base as well, so they're just gonna hop on over here. And there's a couple of Banelings actually end up approaching. They're gonna come straight through, and the Marines now gonna have to go elsewhere as they pull over to the left-hand side. We actually have 1 medevac cleaned up in the bottom right-hand side too. So I'm taking some losses. Zergling's trying to catch reinforcements, but that reinforcement wave is large, as it's obviously a full on 8 racks. Starting to step forward right here. Marines and the tanks coming through. Just going to be seeing that melee and carapace upgrade still continuing up as well. We're going to step forward. The Queens take some damage. In fact, a lot of the Queens going down immediately. Clem's also got a drop into the main base right now, so we'll check on that. Okay, nothing happening just yet as we see Solar trying to break through this position. I'm worried that the Hydra's in the front. These Lings and Banes need to step forward and protect these Hydras a little bit, but that ain't happening. Hydra's in a lot of trouble, in fact. And Clem doing very well. He had to load up in the main, drop to the low ground instead, so that will continue. But over here, Clem is absolutely annihilating this army. He doesn't have too much left over, but reinforcements about to arrive. A fresh set of Marines. And with some fresh legs on those Marines, it's good enough to get the GG and to even out this best of 5. We're tied up now in the quarterfinals as Clem and Solar will go to 1-1. Clem bringing it back with a pretty speedy game here on Amygdala. GG. G. And if you're at 2-1, I think that becomes a very dangerous position to play out of as the play out of deficit. There's no room for mistakes at that point any longer, right? So definitely a interesting moment or two that we've got coming up. In the top right side, our red Terran player here on ley lines is Clem, bringing this series back into action for himself as he takes that second game, ties it up, and he has taken on the blue Zerg in the bottom left-hand corner of the map from Falcons. We have Solar. Game 3 of this best of 5 series. Let's follow the Overlord across the map. It takes us on a beautiful little journey of ley lines. That was just a barracks building at the front. Just going to get that barracks on the way nice and quickly. Get that started up. Barracks in the SCV building. Hatching and gas coming online. There's a couple of Overlords are going to spread out in a couple different directions. And the hatchery coming down in the front as well. So continue to bring that into play just for the moment. And our barracks still coming through. Early game TvZ. Doesn't have too much going on. Like I say, please share in the chat how you guys are feeling, how your days are going. Would love to hear from you guys as well. Like I say, I may not be there right now in the chat, but share throughout the day, and I'll be there at certain points enjoying the games with you guys. It's one of the rare times, like, obviously, get to sit back and watch my own stream. Usually I'm out here on the caster side, but I'm actually going to get to be in chat and watch a few of the games with you guys as well. So, super looking forward to that. And, yeah, I hope you guys, like I say, just going to enjoy all the games. Have a great day with us and family and whatever else, or whatever your traditions are. Hope you enjoy some Christmas Day StarCraft 2 as ISCV pulls away, gonna patrol a little bit, a couple Queens and some Zerglings are producing on out. And the drone just gonna chase that SCV, the Reaper on the high ground just gonna hop up as well. Fire a couple of shots, some Lings will be taking some damage. Drones are going to be coming through. And as we go back and forth there, the Zergling speed is coming online as well, so all of that continues to come out into play. Obviously, we go to triple CC from Clem, which is not too surprising. The SCV blocking that third hatch on the bottom side. Third hatch does go up to the top in the end, so just going to get that online and into position right off the bat. And a couple Queens still zoning at the front, trying to keep this Reaper away for just a little longer. Let me just take a moment to breathe. So obviously the last game kind of culminated pretty quickly, pretty swiftly. Starport coming through. So we get up and online. Here he gets chased away by the Queen. Ling's just going to jump up. That Reaper gets turned around and takes some hits pretty swiftly there, so some damage being taken. Reaper hurting, but has a little bit of life left on it. We do have 2 Hellions coming up. The Queen's on the way out also. And the units continue to gather for the moment as we get resettled. A little grenade, the Queen just gonna get jumped on. Two Hellions and the Reaper, just going to come moving about. Token coming up for the Banshees as well, so we bring that through for the moment. Obviously, Clem once more just kind of back to the Banshees. Went for the Banshees in their first game as well. Like I said at the time, it gives you a lot of control. It lets you do a lot on the map. It really gives you a lot of confidence to set up into a solid TvZ. Around the top, just going to see the Overlord flying past them for a couple of moments. The Overlord will see those units moving through. Queens are going to step in. The Hellions and the Reaper get turned the other direction. Couple of barracks, couple of engineering bays. All on the way out as this Banshee is going to split apart and go all the way around the top. Try and reach a destination here and try and get something done. Careful, Banshee, you nearly got blasted. What is this? Is this a ley line? Maybe. Well, maybe that was a real-life ley line right there. That was really just kind of blasting through, wasn't it? I was kind of surprised when I saw it. I was like, what the hell's that? Simfac and +1 coming up. Orbital Command continues through. The Hellions and a Reaper will move about as well. Let's see, the Hellions going to jump onto this hatchery. Reaper going to continue to tap that. As that hatchery is going to take some burn damage. Hatchery taking some hits. Banshee firing through. 8 drones going down. A Hellion still fighting, so it's going to be this Banshee in the back that's actually done a lot of the damage. It got 9 kills on the corner. This Banshee's crazy. We're watching all the action in the front, but maybe so was Solar, as he does not get the Banshee in the back and does not do anything to clean that up quickly enough. I mean, 11 drones going down now. This is exactly what we missed. 12 workers killed. That Banshee, an absolute hero. What a start right there. That is absolutely massive damage right off the bat. You see a Hellion's going to go after a few of those Zerglings. Queens are going to come through also. Again, 1-1 upgrade. Stimpak coming by. Baneling Nest. Going to get that Baneling speed, but that's just huge damage done to the point where Clem's attack, as he hits 5 barracks, may become extremely difficult to stop, right? This might just be getting to one of those points where it's going to be very tough to stop that. We have our siege tank coming online. The medevacs are going to come. I mean, this first push of Clem already moving. Let's see if Solar can get together a defense, or if he is going to face some issues here as the Marine tank steps up. So that's some Hellions as well as Clem, which means that he can use those to tank us for a little bit. No armory, so no Hellbats. And armory is light. It means he will not be able to go directly into 2-2 upgrades, unfortunately, for himself. So that's going to be a little bit of a shame. That's definitely going to be missing for him. The Queens and the Hellions have a little bit of an altercation. Queens are going to step through. Zerglings are going to come about. Actually going to continue to take some damage for a few moments as our Queens continue to take hits. Tanks are going to siege up. They're going to get set. This hatchery is actually going to straight up fall. I mean, you don't really get away with losing 12 drones to a Banshee against Clem. Plain and simple. You just do not get away with that. That is kind of an illegal move. Yeah, disallowed. As you see the Lings continue to spawn out. They are just dying as they spawn in at the moment. Definitely not a pretty situation at all. Marines continue to push. The Overlord goes down. The medevacs will load up and peel through the bottom side of the map instead. Just getting the hell out of there, as they will now unload to the south, where another Overlord will be taking a few more shots of damage one more time. And we got ourselves melee and carapace upgrades coming through. Hydra still producing. Banelings on the way up here from Solar as well. These Marines are just going to step forward. These Queens are all hurting and on move command. Well, what an awful position to get caught. And your Morphing Banes are going to get caught there as well, which is not exactly going to do you any favors either. And the Wing Bane will chase, but we're going to let the tank do its job. Pick off a little bit more of this right here. And yeah, I mean, you just pick off those Banes so that everything else can prosper. Looking very, very good for our boy Clem, who is going to go up to a 2-1 lead. So after a draining first game where Solar really fought back into and was able to stand up in a game we didn't think he was going to, we see Clem come back and just kind of back-to-back fast victories, especially so in scenarios where he's just in this past year where Solar, even if he hasn't battered Clem, has been able to take him to a 5th map in a best of 5. There's been a lot of series where Solar's been ever so close. Come on, Solar. I'm going to be greedy, and I'm going to request one of those times be right now in our Christmas Day games. Clem's in the bottom right. Solar is in the bottom left. Representing Falcons is Solar. Representing Team Liquid is Clem. As we enter what could be the final game of our second best of 5 of the day. But of course, we're all crossing our fingers and hoping that that is not going to be the case. As the Overlord moves on over to the side. So we're coming off on a bit of a journey. A couple of drones are coming through as well. Drones moving across, Rex and the gas coming over. We got ourselves settled. It's a hatchery on the natural. No surprises there just yet. Everything going as planned for the moment. Now as drones continue out, our Overlord going to be coming across through to the bottom. Right there as well, so just bringing that straight across the other direction. El Dorado, what a fantastic map as well. What a fascinating map. This map has been one of the ones brought up out from the new maps. It was in TLMC. This map, I think, is going to be one of the favorites from this map pool for a long time to come. It has that golden wall element to it, and it definitely has so many different ways in which it can play out and so, which obviously makes it very fun. So yeah, we love this map. A lot of people love this map. How much did Clem and Solo like this map is the question. Again, Clem leads this best of 5, 2-1. Would play Hero in the semifinals later on today. Before then, we still have Maxpax versus Shin and Beyond versus Dark as we work our way through the rest of the quarterfinals. Factory will start. CC on the way up. Hatchery and the Extractor coming by. So you have this Reaper Clem just going to dive through and is able to start going after a couple of those drones. So some drones will begin to take some shots, damage being dealt to begin with. And this will chase. The Reaper gets pushed back just a little tiny bit. Again, some damage being done here for the early stages. Couple of CCs coming through from Clem. The third hatchery from Solar comes down to the bottom side of the map. So wants to try and play the bottom side. You can maybe try and take this gold on the wrong side as your 4th base, for example. Expand down to the gold over here for your 5th. So there's a lot of benefits from taking this kind of direction on the map as the Zerg player. So it does not surprise too much to see Solar trying to take advantage of that immediately. And we'll hit the Reaper a little bit as we start to push up there ever so slightly. Continue to follow this Reaper because that's pretty much where any of the action on the map is going to come from for the next foreseeable few moments. And a couple more Hellions coming on out. And the Reaper really is going to try and kind of make its way up and about. It's going to be low. Going to come down the bottom here and check and confirm that base is online. The Hellions are moving through to the top. If you can keep the distraction over here at the Reaper, maybe the Hellions dive into the natural. This is one of those scenarios where Solar's playing a very late link speed, so Hellions have a lot of diving potential. Going to go in against the 2 queens. The drones have to pull. And he misses the Evolution Chamber block, so the Hellions get in. Going to find 2 drones. That's going to be it, though. Pretty quick cleanup with the Lings getting the wraparound and the surround. It's actually going to be a very good cleanup compared to expectations. Still got the Reaper and the Hellion. Or 2 Hellions even, gathering on the bottom side as the Stimpack, the Starport, all that continues up for the moment. And we get back on track a little bit. Coming past the Watchtower as well. And Starport coming online, Stimpack still building up. The Hellions will move forward one more time here. Still getting their way over, as we do have our drones going to pull across themselves. Just going to be having the Hellions actually do with the Reaper in tow slip into the main base. So they're going to get straight into this as they continue to fire. A couple of those drones still going down. Damage still being dealt. The Roachron and the Lair coming up. I mean, I don't hate it though. I mean, yes, lost mining time, but all of these early game Hellions die. Right? And early game Hellions now means that Clem does not have anywhere near as much map control. He's even stopped building Hellions, so now he's just on a Marine Force, so no map control in the slightest for Clem. you can see why I find it a little concerning, right? It's always a little scary to... And you know, yes, you got 4 drones. Yes, you denied some mining time. But was that worth being completely blind on the map for the foreseeable future? Especially in a game where you're not even now building the... you know, you're not even building the Banshee or anything, right? So there's no map control coming through from there as there's been in previous games. It's going to be all about these medevacs as they make their way across the map. Lifting up a couple more Marines. Maybe shouldn't have used that boost so quickly. They will start to make their way straight through the bottom of El Dorado. Away we go to try and have our say. Now these 2 medevacs move over. 1-1 upgrades coming up. Siege tank, Marines, barracks dropping in. The Marines are going to step forward. The Overlord in trouble. Roaches going to get jumped on a little bit as well. Now another Queen going down. Roaches are still getting caught. And you see our Queens coming through. The Roaches gathering. Evolution chamber building. Again, the Marines will go after the drones once again. Medevacs will load up into the main base we had. Queens going to fire back onto the medevacs once again. He's going to lose a medevac because it couldn't get into a safe space. Is there no safe space for this medevac? There's got to be somewhere. I've seen medevacs hide here before. No? There's not? No, there's not. The medevacs go down and Clem loses those. Wow, what a win for Solar. That feels absolutely massive for him, being able to get so much there. That feels like a huge loss, honestly, as the rest of the Marines coming about. The SCV going to take a depot. The Overseer goes moving about as well. Factory will drop down. The bunker in the front going to settle too. Our 1-1 upgrades on the way in. Infestation pit building up also. This Overseer on the bottom side still gathering together. And with the Baneling Nest now building from Solar. So yeah, that Baneling Nest coming up. The drones are going to get a mining as well. A couple of Ravagers coming online. And the rest of our Overlords coming about. Our Marines and our Medevacs going to come stepping up as well, just for a little bit. We're going to try and get ourselves a Roach, and we are going to pick that off, going past the creep teamer there. Move about. Just a little bit. And we have ourselves the medevacs with the Marines inside moving around. So we've got our 1-1 upgrades coming about. The Overlord speed and the Baneling speed coming up. Solar. Definitely in a good position because of those medevac kills. I mean, you don't just lose 2 of your early game medevacs like that without feeling some kind of heat off the back of it, right? So yeah, Clem definitely a little bit hurting there. Future upgrades coming about. The concussive shells is building. Medevacs get to the middle, going to unload. Just going to come straight through with a few more of those Marines. As the Roach is coming across, those Marines will take a bit more damage on the bottom side. Clem is pushing with a couple of medevacs also. You can see the difference in this game. This is why I was so concerned for Solar in game number 1. Because, for example, in this game, you can see how Solar has so much more creep out in front of his bases. He's got, you know, extra bases already being established too. The game is so much more controlled for Zerg. And I'm sure there's people that are just like, wow, Wardy really just hates Solar. You know, he never gave him a chance in that game number 1. He was counting him out so soon. But this is why, because the map setup and the game layout was looking so bad for him. Because you look at this game now and I'm like, yeah, this is good for Solar. This is a much more playable position. But I don't look at this position and think, oh god, Clem's in a ton of trouble. Because to me, this is what TvZ is almost meant to look like for a competitive game. And yeah, maybe Solar got here a bit accelerated because he killed some medevacs of Clem, so Clem was not able to do as much. My point is that that's why that first game was looking so terrifying for our Zerg. Because, you know, so many of the things that are in play here that look good for him were just not a thing at all in that previous map. So, definitely a factor. Set up for this one. He's going to fight. Roach is going to be there. Medevac's forcing a lift up. Fire Army still stepping through. Those few Banelings going to get chased a little bit. A couple of Banes going to continue in after those Marines also. It's just going to come straight back and across. A couple more siege tanks will go down. Our Marines going to get chased back by the Lingbane Roach. For the moment. There you go again. Actually, as the Roach Bane Ravager Viper starts to head through. Blinding Clouds coming down. A couple of these siege tanks going to get caught in those Blinding Clouds. Nice Blinding Clouds, but the position is so good for Clem, right? The choke points are so good. His tanks created additional chokes on top of the chokes, essentially, as well. So that is an extra bonus that Clem sees there. And that helps him a lot as he comes top left with a drop, although that gets dealt with well by Solar, who has made his way onto these Ultralisks. And does get rid of one. They didn't have Kindness Plant yet, so not as tanky as they should be eventually. And he's chasing down. Clem just pulls it back. That Rock Tower kind of low. You've seen that be exciting in the TvZ once this year between Good and Rogue. As we do have the hatchery does fall. So Clem's persistence in that position is going to succeed for him. He knocks down a base, but Solar has other bases, right? He's got the top left of the map and the top of the map in general. Obviously nice for Clem. He's working through the bottom, takes a gold base himself, and may even continue through the bottom to take this gold base. Maybe it's Clem that will dominate the bottom side of the map. Maybe Solar has to start playing the top, pushed away from some of the gold bases, and get maybe control up here, and take these additional bases over time. It's now Clem. Problem is this bottom position. We saw this when Golden Wall was a map as well. If Terrans can get here, they're essentially on a constant push towards the natural / main. This map's actually a bit better for this than what Golden Wall was in terms of defending it. It's not as bad or as punishing for the Terran to be here. It's still a factor though, as we do see one Viper or two Vipers going to get their Blinding Clouds out. In fact, hits a lot of the tanks. I love the Blinding Cloud on the bio because that stops the bio from running back into, or it forces the bio to micro back properly without running back into the Ultras, and just forces a bit more micro on the side of the Terran player. So yeah, I love to see that as we continue to chase down these Ultras being hunted. Two more Ultras on the way out. Infestor in production. 2 melee upgrades coming about as well. Bringing all of this into play currently as we step back up to this high ground. And Clem continues to swing through the bottom side of El Dorado right now for Game 4 of this best of 5. We get rid of an Ultra. We're going to see a couple Corrosive Vials coming through. The 2 melee upgrades all on the way up as Ultras and Infestors continue to build in for the moment here. These Zerglings just going to kind of leap themselves forward. I mean, Clem, Solar might say let's counterattack, but kind of where is the question? That's more easily kind of said than done, realistically. Because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of positions to attack into. Now, if the depots get left down, that does become a much more attackable position. So maybe that's where you had some opportunity, but we kind of stopped on the depots for a bit. Now he kills some SCVs. Clem will clean that up. Major fight about to happen over here. Infestor surely have a fungal growth opportunity. We get it! It's a huge fungal growth on the ramp. So many units getting caught. So many units will begin to go down. Damage being done, to say the least. That is an absolute massive amount of damage there. Ouch. That is going to hurt Clem a lot. Now, Solar lost a lot too. I mean, you look at resources lost right now. Clem is still trading effectively despite the big fungal. What I don't like for Solar is a lot of his army is this kind of Roach Ravager still, and that's going to become very increasingly difficult to trade out with as this game progresses. That's going to become tougher and tougher and tougher. As these 2 medevacs load up, they are going to go elsewhere. Fire regathers, medevacs and the Vikings join up. Some Lings going to run through them, probably not going to meet their end as the main army is here, but at least Solar gets that info. A few Lings over here, going to try and keep an eye of what's going on as well, if at all possible. Just trying their best to stay in touch with this game. Solar needs to kind of know the situation. Problem is, Solar just constantly has to defend on the bottom left. A couple of those Vipers nearby. This is just bio tank as well, by the way. Clem is not kind of tech through to Ghost. He's got the Academy, but he doesn't have the Ghost actually coming onto the map. It's another decent fungal to start us off here. We've got one more available. Tanks get the Infestors, though. Surprised not to see any kind of Ghost at all, but I guess Clem's dealing well with it anyways, or without them. It's going to be seeing those Ultras still trying to chomp through, and Clem just kites backwards and puts his bio to work. I'm just worried about these Ultras as Solar bleeds them out. Still has a little bit of money to spend in terms of rebuilding potential, but it's not endless. It definitely is not. At least he is holding that more 12 o'clock kind of position base. That feels important for him at this point in time. I think without that, we'd be in a lot more trouble here. As we see, and Parasitic Bomb actually, some of those medevacs low. How do you pick that medevac out from the group? That's disgusting. No, how do you pick that medevac out from that cluster? Maybe I missaw that, but that looked absolutely ridiculous. As the Banes are going to come rolling through, the Lings, the Roaches, the Ravagers. Would like to try and get across here, but Clem continues to stay consistent. Now drops to the top side, keeping some of Solar's army over there. So you can't put as much army into defending this position right now. Clem says you're going to nerf the supply of the Ghost. Who needs the Ghost? Again, the Bio Tank is getting this one done for him at the moment. Now, he's not, like I say, winning necessarily, but I like where he's at. I like that he's still the aggressor. He might actually finally get cleaned up on this bomber side. Looked like we maybe missed a little bit of a fungal there while we're checking up on these medevacs. Things are settling back down. So the unit's just going to drop off onto the watchtower for a moment or so. Some Zerglings going down. I'm just going to see the Ultras running across as well into quite a lot of Marauders here. Let's see how they go, as we're just going to be seeing that Ultra going to drop. The Bio going to come back the other direction. Fire coming over, Ravagers and Roaches going to get chased down also. Going to see that +3 armor coming up on the engineering base. Bio Force continuing to resettle. At this point in time, Ultras and Ravagers coming online as well as our Bio Medevac Force gets back in the set. When I get up to the top, just going to be seeing the Ling Ultra going to come down and onto the watchtowers. Just going to set up there. +3 armor coming through. Marauders in production. Continue to get all of that coming through as well at the moment as our Lings, Marines, and Marauders set up. +3 armor coming through. Bio actually going to get a hatchery on the top side as Ling Ultra still running by. Continue to try and do as much as we can with all of that. Ultra's going to jump onto the factory. The Marauder going to go down. Bio going to get there as well. You're seeing the fungal growth still dropping. Nice blinding cloud actually going to land on a bunch of those siege tanks. So they are going to get jumped on. Now a couple of Lings going down as well, so a little bit more happening here. Fire still coming across. These Ultras are going to end up in a little bit of trouble, I think. Being attacked from both sides. Clem can kite back on one way, chase on the other. Banelings are not going to get morphed in time at all, so no splash damage available for Solar outside of the Ultralist Chompa-Chomps. Pretty much the only thing we got going there as the +3 armor continues to come up and online. Big push through the bottom side from Clem. He's starting to be just always ahead of Solar that little bit in supply. And that's a little bit concerning for our Zerg as a couple of Vikings try to go after the Vipers. Well, Lingbane Ultra coming through the bottom right now. Tank going to siege up in the back. Clem is still doing this with... sorry, I don't know why I opened the units, lost tab right there. But I was going to say without a Ghost, right? I don't think he's built a single Ghost in the game. He's added on some Liberators, so there has been some progression of the army that he's made. Ravager, Bane, moving about, just going to be seeing that +3 armor coming up. A couple of siege tanks are coming through as well. I will gather back over. Setting up here once more. He's just going to run through. I feel like those Lings aren't doing anything on the bottom. Finding some Banes crash through his siege tank. The Ultra's going to get through the gap. Clem, again, just defensive position is good. Up that ramp with the tanks. These few Banes will try and make into this mineral line. It's a very minimal effect. We'll get a few SCVs. Obviously, Clem gets pushed away on the bottom side a little bit, but we're setting up so well elsewhere on the map, so I'm not really that worried for him, I suppose. At this point in time, just going to be seeing the Ultra, the Infestors will continue to come through as well. It's just bringing up a whole bunch of that right here. Things are going to continue to run about again, looking to be as scary as possible. Just going to be seeing the Marines loading back into the medevac for a little bit. Just going to be seeing some of the Bio stepping through. Just going to get toward that hatchery for a few moments as well. We step up, the fungal growth comes down. Clem, obviously, having defended, now turning this into offense for himself and pushing through to the top side. Obviously, again, threatening that base is going to be a little bit scary for Solar. Definitely has to figure out how to deal with that. Fungal growth goes down. Those Valiant's going to get caught. These Ultras are still running across as well. Siege tanks going to be continuing to fight. There's a few more Banes crashing through too. Siege Tank's really being a great supporting cast there, and now Clem is able to step forwards and step up a little bit, able to jump onto a lot of these units, and I think this one is starting to get maybe just a little bit out of hand as a Parasite Bomb goes off. That's going to get chased away. We're going to step forward again here. The Bio still coming through. That Queen going to get jumped on as well. Lings, Banes, Ravagers continue to run across. The Siege Tank's going to try and fire. Bio is going to get the GG as Clem takes game number 4. It was an effort. It was back and forth, and definitely still having to try and hold off on that bottom side for so long was one of the big problems for him throughout this. Definitely made this problematic. Definitely made this very tough for him. In the end, we're going to get there, though, in favor of Clem. And Clem takes it down 3-1 in this best-of-5 quarterfinals. He advances on to play against Hero in the semifinals.